5. I have the hat. I'm going native. But anyway, today was back at the winery after I had Sunday off. So great day visiting wineries yesterday, and today was back in to start seeing a little bit more about the daily operations. Now things have been slowed down a little bit because of the rain that they had last week. Actually what it's had the effect of doing is, aside from the guys up in Clare Valley and Eden Valley with the Riesling, which got a little bit sunburned with the heat, it's really just delayed things and spread it out a bit. It looked like everything was going to have to be picked all in one over a very short space of time. This year it seems like the rainfall was probably going to be more beneficial. Not a lot of grapes have split. It looks like it just means it's delayed picking of some of the reds. It's going to be a bit more spread out. So all in all, could end up being quite a positive thing for reds. Whites, well, Riesling certainly suffered. It'll be interesting to see how other varieties like Marsanne, Roussanne and Viognier have been affected by it. But time will tell, and maybe I'll find out a little bit more as the week goes on. But onwards to what I was up to today. So over the weekend we found that one of the vats had, or one of the tanks rather, had a wee leak in it. Nothing serious, but just a wee bit of one of the welds at the bottom was letting a bit of wine out. So this morning what we're doing is we're pumping a load of Grenache destined for only 12 true wines from one tank to another. So we've kind of filled up, flushed the tank out first that it's going into with kind of hot water, and then caustic soda, food grade, so it's pretty safe. Then another rinse and citric acid through, and then another rinse, so it's completely sterilised, basically, nice and clean. So we can then pump from one to the other, which is what that noise in the background is. So yeah, and before you fill the tank with the wine, basically load it up with a load of dry ice, and that floats on top, stops it from oxidising, so it keeps the juice fresh and prevents any oxygen getting into it during this process. Pretty cool. I mentioned dry ice. This is the part I really like. It's because it's science stuff. So here's a bit of physics fun for you. Hours of fun. Yeah, so I totally meant chemistry there. This is a 1200 litre tank, and they call it an R2D2, and you can kind of see why. After we'd racked a few barrels ready for bottling, it was time to get out there and crush some grapes. This is a giant hopper into which the grapes will be poured. And tilt up like it is now, and that corkscrew turns, taking the grapes along in the clean just now. In there, you see a destemmer. So that'll take all the stems off the grapes. We're ready to head through to that, which will move along here, and that's the press. Quite a lot of boring bits in between, you know, spraying, cleaning, wiping, so I'll spare you all the gory, boring details, but not that exciting, but you know, it gets better. Today we've got all the Frontignac fruit that's been picked is just arriving at one of the winery sites, and it's going to be popped into the hopper behind me. Some of it by that forklift truck back there, which actually is rotating front, which is awesome, so I can tip them in. The hopper then tilts up and they come through to a crusher destemmer. They kind of fall through the back, and then I'm just spinning around to look at it, realising that you won't be able to see. But then they'll go through, it'll get pumped through to a bag press. So it's a hydraulic bag press, which will gently apply even pressure across all of it while turning around, and the juice will come out the bottom. It'll then be pumped into a tank where it will cold settle overnight, and then tomorrow it'll be picked up. We'll pump it into tanks and take it to the winery proper, where it'll be left to cold settle again for around about in kind of vats with a cooling jacket around them, where it'll sit for around about 8 days or so before fermentation, or however long Ben the winemaker decides. So we shall continue. Oh, this is the really cool bit. we go! That juice flowing in, it's just from the weight of all the grapes on top crushing the ones underneath. So it's already released some of the juice. There we go. Here we go. So the press is, well, the press is being fed from this hopper via kind of a corkscrew going along the bottom, which forces the grapes out into the press, rather than, not sorry, the press, the destemmer, grapes will come off, go into a pipe which will go to the press, and the gunk goes pretty much from here to into the destemmer there, and out. All the way to there. Quite a good view of it from down here. All the juice pouring out there. Press. So this hasn't really started up yet. The bag's just inflating just now, and the first of the juice is still being pumped over just now. But once it gets going, that'll start turning. Juice will start flowing out the bottom. And it will get pumped once it's been pressed all the way along to that big tank there. It'll be left cold settle overnight. It's been loaded with a pectolytic enzyme which will basically help all the lees, all the gunk and a lot of the solids congeal and float to the bottom. It's just a really basic kind of settling overnight, and we'll do most of it settling at the winery. doesn't actually need to be pressing anything just yet. So to begin with, you've got what's called the free run juice. So basically, when it comes out the hopper into the destemmer, there's a lot of liquid that's just come out there, and basically the juice that comes just from the sheer weight of the grapes and from the act of being destemmed and all, and when it reaches the press, basically the weight of what's come through is your free run juice. And some wines will only use free run juice, but if you're using a hydraulic press and using stuff like this, and we're making Frontignac here, which is going to be a Moscato, so a light kind of fruity sort of wine. Not too worried about really fine, super top level kind of pure aromatics here. It's going to be slightly off dry in style, so we want as much juice as we can. So we're going to be using the press. It'll extract probably be a little. The hydraulic press will stop too much of the bitter phenolics coming out. And we're obviously we're de-stemming it, so we're getting rid of the stem, so we're not going to get any tannins or phenolics from that. But yeah, fun stuff.